morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are having a fantastic day. If you're new to the channel, my name is Parker Nierenstein. This is Vehicle Virgins, and today we're tuning the Blackwing. If you missed the last video, we installed a massive Magnuson supercharger under the hood. And we installed Cook's headers, so this thing absolutely screams. I am absolutely in love with this car. The interior is so epic, and one of my favorite parts about these seats, not only the way they look, but they have a massage feature on bucket seats. Massaging heated and cooled bucket seats, sign me up. Oh, this thing is loud. Now, because we just installed the Cook's headers, the air-fuel ratios are gonna be entirely different than when it was just the Magnuson supercharger. So today we need to retune the car so it's more drivable and see how much power, if it's making crazy power, on the dyno. Now, I wasn't planning on tuning the car at this stage because there are so many different parts I need to add on to make the power that I'm wanting. But in order to drive the car safely, I do need to tune it now just so I can use the car. Otherwise, I'm basically letting it sit in my driveway until all the parts arrive, which is lame. I want to actually drive this thing because it's so darn fun. All right, let's get it tuned. So New Era is working on some pretty cool stuff. We've got an 800 wheel horsepower CL1 with a ported blower. And then over here, this one makes over 1,000 horsepower to the wheels. All right, getting the Blackwing situated on the dyno. We'll display up there on the screen. Let's see what kind of horsepower we're making with the Blackwing in its current setup. My God, that's loud. So look at this, the car made 699.4 horsepower. We're gonna chase that 700 number, see if we can squeeze out a little more, but the car is running so much healthier now that it has a tune on it. And she's all done and ready to go. All right, guys, how about a little tunnel run with the new tune? This thing sounds so ridiculous. Here we go. Oh my God! Oh, this thing is absolutely outrageous. So we picked up about 40 wheel horsepower compared to just the blower using a custom tune as well as the headers. Now, I know some of you are like, it's not that crazy. Trust me when I say it does feel absolutely insane, but I'm doing this in stages. We're nowhere near close to being done with this car. This is effectively stage 1 with the supercharger and the headers. Now for stage 2 to get to mid 800s, about 830, 850, we're gonna need port injection, a smaller pulley, air intake, flex fuel sensor, and then run it on an E85 blend. So that is the next step for this car. Then once we run it for a week or two like that, at the 850 horsepower range, I'm gonna need wheels and tires. If you guys know of any setups that'll work with the Blackwing, let me know in the comment section below, because I believe I'm going to have to remove the rear carbon ceramic brakes and do a small brake kit in the back. I'm running on 20-inch wheels and they barely have clearance over the carbon ceramic, so if I go to something like an 18, it's just not gonna fit. It's a little bit sad getting rid of carbon ceramics, but I do wanna make this car ballistically fast, and it's just not gonna put the power down really at a level of horsepower anything above this. So hopefully we can do a drag setup on some beadlock wheels with a ridiculous tire in the back, which will just look freaking awesome. But honestly, I think this is the perfect power level for this car if you still want to drive it in the canyons and on the track. It's borderline ridiculous in the canyons. It's a little bit scary, to be honest, but it still is somewhat manageable, and you don't have to have a drag pack with a huge tire that's going to absolutely ruin the handling. But for content and to build, I want this to be the fastest car I've ever owned. We're gonna need to do above 1,000 wheel horsepower for that. So once you go above the 850 to get to 1,000 plus, We're going to need to do a cam as well as heads and probably a bunch of other supporting mods, as well as a clutch, because at about 800, the clutch is going to start going out with this 6-speed manual. But I'm so excited. If you use like a correction factor 15%, I mean, you're already talking about 850 horsepower at the crank, which is pretty ridiculous. And it isn't that heavy of a sedan either. It's about 4,000 pounds, so it's so much lighter than something like an M5. Over 1,000 pounds lighter, and it's making 130 plus horsepower more than a new M5. So to put that into perspective of how quick the car is. Now we've got another tunnel coming up. I'll lower the windows as well. The downshifts on this car are just so addicting. It sounds world-ending. Ready? There was 2 other people in the tunnel, and I actually feel so bad for them if they had their windows down. That is absolutely deafening. Once again, huge shout out to the people who have helped me build this car. Magnuson for providing the supercharger, Cooks for the headers, New Era Performance for the tune. One thing I am learning, excuse me. One thing I am learning is this car actually is way more expensive to modify than I was expecting. I thought as an American car, as a GM car, with the LT4, tons of mods have existed for the Z06 and other platforms. But I guess I was a little bit wrong. Thankfully, this has effectively cost me nothing so far. I feel very blessed for that. But it would have been right around with install, probably close to $20,000 for the setup I have currently, if not high teens, 17, 18, 19,000. And effectively, I'm going to need to put in another 20 or 30,000 to get it to that 1,000 wheel horsepower plus. So hopefully we can work with some more partners, because that is a lot of money. I mean, I'd be 50K into the build and I paid 100 for the car. So that is pretty ridiculous. But honestly, I love this thing so damn much. And you could spec out a new one to 150K, honestly, with some of the new options that they have. So buying a used one and spending the remaining 50, making the car faster than probably a Bugatti Veyron when it's all said and done, seems like the better move than buying a brand new one. Let me know. All right, guys, see you next video. There we go. Look at that, 704.4 horsepower and 698 pound-feet of torque at the wheels.